Recording. Okay, welcome everybody to Why Customers Choose One Business Over Another. We're so happy and excited that Rich Sanger has chose to give this presentation to our clients. This is an incredibly important topic. Before we get started with Rich, though, just in case you're not familiar with Boston Business Mentors, just want a quick review of the things that we offer. Our goal is to help the small business community with education. It can be business, you're just got an idea all the way up through exiting your business. We have people that can work with you at every step of the way. We have our mentoring program. There's a QR code to sign up for mentoring if you've not done that before. The mentors can be a sounding board. They can be a source of for resources. They can be someone that helps you plan for a goal or overcome a challenge. We're there for you where you are to help you move on to the next steps. Don't forget our workshops and webinars. They are always free. The recordings are also posted on our website. We have a nice grouping of topics, quite a variety of topics, ranging from every business topic you can imagine. So take some time to look at those. And don't forget our blogs and our templates and different resource materials that we offer on our website as well. I will revisit that QR code for mentoring at the end, but meanwhile, let's get right on to today's topic. Welcome, Rich, and thank you for presenting today.
Well, thank you all for having me, and thank you to Boston Business Mentors and Teresa for having me. So I will share my screen and we'll jump right in. All right, one moment. Oh, where did that go? Okay. Sorry, my stuff has been moved around here on the screen. So when you do like multiple screens, things jump around. So thanks everyone for joining us today. This presentation is about something every business owner cares about: why customers choose one business over another. So before we get started, I just want to make two quick points. First, this presentation focuses on what happens after someone has already started looking. So in other words, it's about capturing existing demand, not creating demand. So things like marketing, advertising, referrals, branding, and community visibility, they all play an important role in generating demand, but that's a separate conversation. Today, we're focused on what happens when someone is actively evaluating their options for your products or services. And second, you'll notice some of the ideas repeat throughout this presentation, and that is intentional. I did this in the last presentation as well. We're going to look at the decision-making process from different perspectives, including customers, search engines, AI tools, reviews, websites, and trust signals. So I built this presentation in a manner to help reinforce those key concepts so that by the end, you really understand them, you recognize them, and you can apply them to your own business. So when people need a product or service, they rarely call the first business that they see. Instead, they do some research. They're going to compare options and make judgments about who feels like the best fit, even when the business comes through a referral. So today we're going to look at what customers actually see and evaluate before they ever reach out, including your Google business profile, your reviews, websites, and increasingly AI tools like ChatGPT and other third-party sources. So the goal here is to help you understand what builds trust online and what may be causing potential customers to move on without contacting you. So let me start with a simple question for you all. Think about the last time you looked for a place to eat. Did you choose the first restaurant that you saw from the options? Probably not. I mean, most of us might compare a few options. We might look at ratings, reviews, photos, take a gander at the menu and decide which one feels like the best choice. So that same behavior is going to apply when someone is looking from us any type of business, whether you're a dentist, an attorney, an accountant, consultant, roofer, a plumber, or any other type of local service provider. So people are going to compare and they choose the option that feels safest and most trustworthy for them. And one of the most important ideas in this presentation is that customers are making decisions before they ever contact you. So by the time someone picks up the phone to call you, goes on their phone or computer to email you or fill out your contact form, they may have already spent several minutes evaluating your business. Um, they've looked at your reviews, they've looked at your photos, they visited your website, and they may have compared you to several competitors. So a large part of the decision is often made before you even know that person exists. So before jumping in, so I give a little bit of background on me. For those who I haven't met yet, my name is Rich Sanger. I'm the founder of Streetlight Local. I help local businesses improve their visibility, wherever people search, ask questions, or seek recommendations, and help to turn that visibility into real calls and leads. So I've worked in SEO and digital marketing for more than 13 years across a wide variety of industries. And I'm also a contributor. I write articles for Search Engine Land, and I've published research on search and AI. My focus is helping business owners understand how customers search and how to build a stronger online presence that ultimately earns trust and calls. So here's the roadmap for today. First, we're going to look at how people choose businesses. Then we're going to walk through how people search and how they compare options. Then we're going to focus on what builds trust. And then finally, we'll bring everything together and discuss how all these pieces work together as a system. So hopefully by the end, you should have a pretty clear understanding of why customers choose certain businesses and what you can do to strengthen your own online presence. So the first section we're going to talk about is customer behavior. So before we talk about the website's reviews and search and so on, it's important to understand what people actually do when they make a decision. So when people are looking for a business, they typically go through a pretty predictable process. They're going to search whatever their favorite tool is. They're going to scroll through the options that are provided. They're going to compare the businesses that are presented. They are going to look at their reviews, and increasingly, they are asking AI tools for more information or a second opinion. This process, happens quickly, again, depending on the type of product or service you're looking for, and it's really more thoughtful than many business owners might think. So before they come to you, customers are doing their homework. Always keep that in mind. They're coming in more prepared. So most decisions are going to happen much faster than business owners expect. Like I was saying, customers open a few options. They're going to scan quickly, form an impression in seconds. When you have a website or any content, always keep in mind that they are not reading every word on your website. They're not going to check every page on your website or analyze every detail. They're looking for clues that are important to them. Does this business look legitimate? Do they seem trustworthy? And do they clearly offer what I need? If the answer is yes, they're going to move forward. If anything feels unclear to them, is off, it doesn't answer the questions, they're going to continue comparing. So now that we understand how people behave, now I want to take a look at how people actually search. So different searches are going to reflect different goals, and understanding that helps explain why customers see different types of search results. So we're going to look at three examples here. First one, I'm sure we've all typed this into Google at some point. Restaurants near me. That is a broad search. The person is looking for nearby options. Looking for one of my favorites, best Italian restaurant. This suggests a person is comparing quality and looking for the best choice. Another option is where should I eat tonight? Someone searching with this, it's typically more conversational. They're looking for more, want recommendations, and they want more help deciding. So these types of searches, they use different words, but they all reveal different levels of intent by the searcher. And the same principle is going to apply to every business. So the wording people use is going to tell us what they need and how close they are to making a decision. Now, many business owners still think of search as simply typing something into Google and clicking a website. And that still happens. In the previous presentation, I shared that, even with the introduction of AI tools, Google still captures 90% of search traffic. So we have to keep that in mind as well. Um, so those searches are still going to happen, but today the same search can lead people to very different experiences. So someone might use Google search and see those traditional search results, which are now being augmented with the different AI experiences that Google is providing in there, like AI overviews. They might go to Google Maps and compare businesses there. They also might go to AI tools like Claude or ChatGPT for recommendations to learn more or to get a second opinion there. So the important takeaway here is that customers are using more than one platform to make decisions, but the underlying information is often the same. So your website, reviews, Google Business Profile, and other online signals. So people, will search for different reasons, and those reasons, typically fall into five different categories. So your basic searches are broad and exploratory, things like the restaurants near me, dentists near me, coffee shops open now. More specific searches are going to narrow down exactly what they want, like Italian restaurant with outdoor seating, emergency dentist in Boston, family photographer for newborn photos. The problem-based searches are going to focus on an issue that they're actively trying to solve. Things like the tooth pain, what to do, roof leaking after storm, how to fix a slow website, or why is my AC not cooling? The trust-based type searches are about finding proof and credibility. So, best restaurant in Boston, top rated HVAC companies near me. Is Invisalign worth it? And the decision-based searches happen when someone is ready to act. Again, things like schedule dentist appointment online, free estimate roofing company, call plumber open now. Understanding these different types of searches are going to help you see where customers are in their journey and what kind of information they are looking at for each different stage. Now, AI tools are not replacing search yet. They're a long way from doing that, but they help to deepen it. People tend to use AI when they want more context or confidence. They may ask detailed questions about their situation, use it to compare options, or to seek a second opinion. For example, someone might search for businesses on Google, narrow it down to two options, and they aren't sure which one to choose. So they might go to ChatGPT or Claude to get some more insights into evaluating them to help them determine which one seems like a better fit for their situation. And AI is especially useful when the customer wants guidance rather than just a list of businesses. So customers are rarely going to evaluate your business in one place. They're going to see a combination of signals of you across line. Looking at your Google listing, any reviews about your business, photos that you have, your website, the AI generated summaries, third-party sources. Each of these are going to shape the overall impression that they form about you and your business. So that means your business is being judged across multiple touch points and not just your website alone. So once customers have found a few options, that's when they move over into comparison mode. And this is where many of the decisions are won or they are lost. So people usually don't select the business immediately. Again, it's going to depend on your type of product, service, amount of money, things like that. But they will open several options and move back and forth between them. And at this point, you're not going to be competing with every business in your market that offers your service. You're competing with a small handful of businesses that they are seriously considering. And that's an important distinction for you because it means the goal is not necessarily to be perfect. It's to make a stronger impression than the few businesses that they are comparing you against. So when people compare a business, there's quite common things that they look at and they're very consistent. So reviews are going to tell them what other customers have experienced when they worked with you. Photos are going to help them visualize the work you do, your facility's environment. Any before after photos is going to help set that stage for them, the type of work that you do. Services, tell them whether you actually offer what it is that they need. Making sure if you're a service area business, making sure that your service area confirms whether you actually serve the location that they live or need your help in. And contact information, that's going to show how easy it is to reach you when they make that decision. And then there's what I like to call just the overall feel of your business, how professional, how trustworthy, and easy to work with your business appears to be. So, they're not reading every word, like I said before. They're scanning for reasons to choose you or to rule you out. Now, most businesses are eliminated quickly, so customers are not always going to pick the absolute best option first. More often, they are removing businesses that in some way create doubt. Some of the ways that businesses create doubt is when they have low ratings, when they have few reviews, if any, when the information on their platforms is outdated, having poor photos or no photos, or a website that is just plain confusing. And when there's any hesitation that prospects are feeling, that usually means that they are going to keep looking until they find one that doesn't trigger that hesitation. So that's why the goal for you is to remove that doubt and make customers feel comfortable moving forward with you and your business. So the AI tools, they are increasingly being used as a second opinion or even a first opinion. A customer might ask, is this business a good choice? Is this price reasonable? What questions should I ask this business about the product or service that they are offering? So in other words, they are using AI to help validate their decision. And, AI doesn't rely on a business's website alone. This is something I want you all to take this. It is going to look across, you know, your own sources online as well as third-party sources to help build confidence in its recommendations. So if your online presence sends strong signals of trust, AI is more likely to reinforce the customer's confidence rather than raise new doubts. So now we're going to get to the heart of the presentation. What are the specific signals that help to build trust and increase the likelihood that someone chooses your business? So this section is going to focus on the elements customers use to decide whether they feel confident moving forward with your business. All right. So not every decision is going to get the same amount of research. This is something I touched a little bit on before. So if you're choosing where to grab a cup of coffee, you might spend a minute or two looking at ratings or photos, or if you're like my wife, who is very particular about the coffee she drinks, you might spend a little more time here. If you're hiring a contractor, an accountant, an attorney, you're going to spend much more time comparing options because those are your money, your life types of situations. But regardless of the type of decision, everyone is going to start with a quick scan. So that first impression when people are exposed to your business is going to help to determine whether someone decides to dig deeper and learn more about you or that they move on. So the more important and expensive the decision, the more research people are going to do. But you still have to pass that initial scan that people do. Now, reviews are often the first and most influential trust signal. And you probably already heard me say reviews a lot during this because it's very important. People will immediately notice your star rating, how many reviews you have, and how recent they are. They're going to look for patterns there. Do customers mention responsiveness in reviews? Do they mention professionalism? Do they mention the quality of the work or product that you offer? Do they mention honesty? They are also looking for comments that match their own needs. For example, if someone needs roof repair, They want to see reviews mentioning roof repair, not just general praise or just a 5-star review or whatever it might be. They want to see details in there. And reviews shape perception quickly and can strongly influence whether someone keeps evaluating your business or moves on. Before I move on to the next slide, I do want to call out something here that Google recently added a new AI-powered feature to Google Maps called Ask Maps. And that's where people can seek out local products or services by asking more contextual queries in there, more like AI prompts. And the information that it brings and presents to the user is more detailed, and it functions rather than providing a list like Google Maps typically does. It gives a more curated recommendation list of only 3 to 8 businesses there. And it does pull detailed information from the reviews, and it looks at the overall sentiment of your reviews when people are asking questions in there regarding, like if someone is seeking, like, I have a leak in the kitchen. I need a plumber that could get here now and is very trustworthy and has really great reviews. So an answer, Ask Maps, is going to provide a summary of the sentiment of all your reviews in there, and also pull out from reviews and such whether you do that type of service. So definitely reviews are super important. Now, your Google Business Profile for a local business is your digital storefront. Before anyone visits your website, they may form an opinion based on you, based on what they see here. So this is going to show up when people search for your business by name, in local searches based on your product or services. And also, it is what drives your visibility in Google Maps. So your photos, your business details, your services, your hours, and reviews all contribute to that first impression. And this information doesn't just affect how customers perceive you. It also feeds into Google Search, Google Maps, the Ask Maps we just talked about, and other AI-generated answers. So if your listing is incomplete or outdated here, you're going to look less trustworthy and become much harder to surface in search. Now, people typically don't visit your website first. They arrive after seeing your listing, seeing reviews, getting referrals, or other sources to confirm that your business is the right fit. And I have this conversation a lot with business owners about just having a website. And I have to say here that just having a website is not enough. Just having like a one-page website that has your business name, a list of services, a list of service areas, that is not sufficient. Your website needs to help customers quickly understand who you are, what you do, where you work, and why they should choose you. And it should answer all the questions they might have about your services and or products. So at this point, you always have to keep in mind, look at things from the customer's perspective, the kinds of questions that they might be asking. So some of the things they might ask are things like, do you clearly explain what you do? Do you serve my area? Can I contact you easily? And can I trust you to solve my problem? I see many websites falling short here because they are vague, they're difficult to navigate, they are outdated, or they don't answer these basic questions quickly. I saw a website recently that at the top of the page said, providing innovative solutions with excellence and integrity. Does anybody know what that means? That could be anything. I mean, another one I saw was your trusted partner for innovative solutions. Again, they don't tell you whether they're a plumber, an accountant, a landscaper, a marketing agency, bookkeeper, whatever. You have to be very specific. Don't make people guess for what you do. So your website should make it easy for customers as well as Google and AI tools to understand exactly what it is that you offer. So the best websites don't just exist. They help customers gain confidence in their decision. Excuse me, grab a drink here. So one of the most important questions customers ask is, does this business look like the right fit for my specific need? So they want to see a clear match between what they searched for and what your business presents. So if they search for a particular service, they want to see that service explained clearly. Like I said before, just saying you do a service, like, if you say kitchen remodeling, that's not sufficient. Just having a list of services. You should have details on page as far as what that means, how you do it, why you're better than other people that do it, where you do it. All that needs to be very explicit in there. And if a site doesn't, if a person looking at your page doesn't immediately see that connection, they're not going to dig deeper. So just make it really easy for them to understand the service. Because if you don't, they're going to go back and choose another option. So we all know this. Anytime you open up your wallet, you take out your cash, you take out your card, that's going to involve some degree of risk. So, customers are wondering here, can this business deliver? Will they do a good job? Will this be worth the money? And the way for you to help reduce that perceived risk is by providing proof. you know, list on your site and everywhere that you're represented online. Make sure it's consistent. Your years in business. Share, photos of you, your staff, your facility, your projects, before after photos. Make sure you have detailed service pages. List your certifications, and have strong reviews that all reassure to customers. So the strongest proof is going to come from sources that you don't control, third parties. And I'm talking about here things like awards, certifications, memberships, media mentions, community involvement, professional associations. So the more proof that you can provide, the more comfortable people are going to be to choose you. All right. So this is another thing I see on websites. So once someone decides they may want to contact you, you have to make that process effortless. Particularly on like a mobile device, you have to make it super easy to call. You always have to ask the question when you look at your website, can they call with one tap on their mobile device? Can they find your contact information quickly? And are your forms on the site simple and functional? Are your hours and service areas clear on the site? So even small points of friction can cost you, a lead there. So if it's hard to contact you, customers are going to move on to someone else. So just looking at these websites, you could see here, the website on the left, the call now button is super conspicuous. The other site doesn't have a call now button, just has a form here instead of it has about us. And typically, you want to have the actions that you want your customer prospect to do up at top of the page. About us should be like a separate page on there. Make sure you make it easy for people to call now, text you, schedule online. This again, don't do anything that's going to create friction in there. So up to this point, we've looked at each element individually. Now I want to take a step back and look at how all these pieces work together. So no single element is going to win a customer in and of itself. Your reviews are going to help to build trust. Your website is going to confirm and explain what it is that you do. Your Google business profile is going to help you get discovered when people are searching locally. Third-party sources, such as industry associations, media mentions, community recognition, help to validate your credibility. So, and that's people in AI don't just rely on one source. They're going to compare information across multiple sources and look for consistency across them. So when those sources tell the same story, the same narrative about your business, that confidence is going to grow. And that confidence is what leads to calls, bookings, recommendations, and ultimately new customers for you. Now, AI and search tools evaluate your business using many of the same signals people use when making decisions. So they look at your website, they look at your Google business profile, your reviews, your directories, news mentions, professional associations, community discussions like on social media, and other sources that help them understand who you are and whether you can be trusted. So they are not looking at one source in isolation. They compare information across multiple sources and look for patterns, consistency, and supporting evidence. And when those multiple independent sources tell a similar story about your business, that confidence is going to grow. And the stronger and more consistent your online presence, the more likely you are to be surfaced, trusted, and recommended in those answers. So when you improve these foundational elements, you're not just helping customers make decisions, you're also helping search engines and AI tools better understand, validate, and recommend your business. So most businesses, businesses a lot of the times focus only on what they say about themselves. Their website explains who they are, what they do, and why someone should choose them. Very important. Their Google Business Profile provides important details to help customers find them. Those matter immensely, but trust doesn't only come from what you say about yourself on your own channels. It also comes from what others say about you, third parties. Customers look at reviews. Those are going to come from third parties that you don't have control of. They see mentions in local news about your business, hopefully. They notice professional memberships and associations. They find directory listings and sometimes hear about businesses through community conversations like local Facebook groups next door, and they hear those, get recommendations from there. The AI systems do something very similar. They don't just rely on that single source. They're going to compare information across many sources and look for patterns. And they want to make sure that the evidence that they see supports the same story. And when multiple independent sources tell a similar story about your business, your confidence grows. And the more evidence that supports who you are, what you do, the easier it is for both people and AI to recommend you. So I did want to note here, I recently analyzed a Google patent that describes how large language models that underlie Google search and AI tools can use information from websites and third-party sources to build an understanding of a business. One of the themes throughout the patent is the importance of combining information from multiple sources rather than relying on a single source alone. Now, this is for an article I wrote for Search Engine Land, which will be published in the coming weeks. So one of the more powerful trust signals is consistency. So people trust what feels consistent. AI systems do too. So when your services, your service areas, business details, your reputation, and messaging all align across everywhere you represented online, from your website, your Google listing, and so on, that is going to help grow confidence in you and what you do. But that consistency alone, that's not the whole story for you. Confidence becomes even stronger when independent sources confirm the same story about your business. So for example, your website may say you've served a community for 15 years. Reviews mention long-term customers. Your local chamber profile shows years of membership. A local news article references your work in the community. Now the claim isn't just coming from you, it's being supported by other sources. So that consistency between the things you say and what other people say helps to reduce doubt. And that corroboration is really what helps to build confidence in your brand and business. And the more places that tell a similar story about your business, the more likely people and AI are to trust, understand, and recommend you. So in this final section, I want to pull everything together into a simple framework, to help you remember and apply to your own business. So no matter what type of business that you run, most customer journeys are going to follow the same pattern. First, people are going to search, then they compare a few options. Next, they're going to validate their top choices that they've identified by checking reviews, Google listing, your website, third-party sources. And finally, that's when they make that decision. These four steps are a useful way for you to think about how customers move from finding you to actually taking action. And, for you, your goal is to make sure that you show up strongly at every stage here. So ultimately, we in this presentation, we've talked about reviews, website, Google business profiles, AI tools, consistency, evidence, but all of these point to, a much bigger idea. Customers don't always choose the cheapest option. Some do, not all of them. And they aren't always going to choose the biggest company. Some do, but not all of them. And they don't automatically choose the business that ranks first on Google. A lot of them do, but not always. They want to feel confident that you're the right fit for their individual needs. They want to feel confident that you and your business can do the job that they hire you for. And they want to feel confident that other people have had a good experience with you. They need that evidence. And they want to feel confident that what they see, across the board with your reviews and such, they all support the same story. Every trust signal that we've discussed in this presentation so far is really there to help answer one question. Can I feel confident in choosing this business? And the businesses that earn the most confidence are often the businesses that get the call, get the booking, and ultimately get chosen. Keep in mind, people don't buy certainty, they buy confidence. Now, the businesses that consistently win make the decision easy. They show up when customers are searching. They clearly explain what they do. They build trust with reviews, photos, and proof. They keep their messaging consistent, and they make it simple for customers to take the next step. And these businesses reduce uncertainty and make people feel confident to reach out. Now, on the other hand, businesses that lose are the ones that create doubt, that they often have incomplete, outdated information. They have few reviews or inconsistent feedback. I do want to note here, as far as reviews, whatever you guys do with reviews, if you get a negative review, please don't engage in, like, I see too many businesses do this where they get like a negative review and they respond to that review emotionally and they try to refute a review point by point in there. You don't want to do that, because that's going to create the impression to people looking at your business that you're difficult to work with. So always just leave a note there that, hey, sorry about your experience, and I'll give you a call to make this right, and just leave it at that. And that will make people feel comfortable doing business with you, because not every business is going to have all 5-star reviews. And, so also businesses that have like generic messaging, you want to stand out, but, don't cloud what you do. Also, don't make it, businesses that lose out make it hard to understand what they do. They create friction when someone is ready to contact them. So overall, all these things, the result here is to create hesitation, and that hesitation is often what leads to lost opportunities. So to close, I want to highlight the broader changes in how customers make decisions today. Um, so this, big picture here. Customers today are way more informed than at any point in history. Before they ever contact the business, they are searching, they're comparing, they're reading the reviews, they're looking at your photos, checking your websites, talking to AI, taking all that information, all the recommendations and advice that they're getting. And they're doing much of that research before they ever pick up the phone to talk to anybody. So by the time they actually reach out, they have a short list. They've already compared options, they've validated the information, and they've formed opinions about who they can trust. And that's why showing up is no longer enough. Businesses need to be easy to find, easy to understand, and easy to trust. And the businesses that win here are the ones that provide the strongest evidence across multiple sources. And again, your website, your Google profile, your reviews, third-party mentions, and they all reinforce the same story. So as a result, customers are going to arrive with greater confidence, and they're often much closer to making a decision. So if you remember just 3 things today, let them be these. Get found. You need to show up where your customers are searching. This is where you need to know your customer well, how they look for your types of products or services. You need to build trust. That's done through earning confidence with reviews, providing photos, and having consistent information on all the touch points where your customers look. And lastly, um, make it easy to choose you. Remove any friction and make the next step for people to engage with you super simple. And when you do these things well, more calls are going to follow. So customers are deciding before you ever speak with them. So they are evaluating how you show up in search, what other people say about you, how clearly you explain your services, and whether your business feels trustworthy. And your goal is to make it easy for someone to think, this looks like the right business for me. And when you do that, customers are going to stop comparing and start contacting you. So thanks for listening. And, I'll open up the floor now to any questions that you guys might have.
Yeah, so now is a great opportunity to get your questions for Rich into chat. While we're waiting for you to type, I'm going to go ahead and throw up our last slide, our thank you slide. It does have the QR code to get yourself a Boston Business Mentor. Our mentoring is always free. And if you wish to support our organization, there's also a QR code for that as well. So we are definitely looking for any questions that you have for Rich. You have him here to help you navigate any of this topic. And if you missed his first presentation on getting found online, you can find that recording on our website, bbmentors.org. Under workshops, there's the videos section, and it is there. It's a great presentation. I am not seeing any questions. So I guess we can go ahead. Oh, yeah. No questions, but very informative. So I guess we'll take
Oh.
that.
Well, thank you, Annie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you again for joining us today. Thank you, Rich, for giving your time to educate our small business clients. And have a great rest of your week. And we hope to see you again in the future.
Sure. Thanks for having me. Thank you,
Thanks.
everybody.